now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar. This webinar will be on the Leadership Exchange and is part of the Change Managers Network series, but today we're also running in partnership with the Women in Public Service Leadership Network that's newly established. Our speaker today will be Emily Martin from ACOSVO, and just to quickly go through how the session will be run, I'll very quickly hand over to Emily. He'll take you through the Leadership Exchange in a bit more detail. And then at the end we'll have time for question and answers. If you have a question, then please post it throughout the webinar so that we can get straight into the question and answer session at the end. Also speaking today will be one of my colleagues at the Improvement Service, Kathleen McLoughlin, who'll be talking about her experience in the Leadership Exchange programme. Also, finally, there'll be a quick survey just for following the webinar to just make sure everything was working correctly, and if you have any problems throughout the course of the webinar with quality, then please contact me directly. Okay, so with that I'll just hand over to Emily. Thank you.
All right, thanks David, and good morning everybody, and welcome to this webinar on Leadership Exchange, an initiative for cross-sector knowledge exchange and peer support in Scotland's public services. My name is Emily Martin and I'm a development officer at ACOSVO, which is the Association of Chief Officers of Scottish Voluntary Organisations. And in the next 15 minutes or so I will talk you through what Leadership Exchange is, what the benefits are, how it works and how you can participate. And after that, I'm delighted that Kathleen from the Improvement Service will tell you firsthand about her experience with the program and what she got out of it. And as David said, we will also have time for your questions. So let's start with a bit of context for the program. In 2011, the final report of the Christie Commission on the future delivery of public services was published, and it really set the context for public service reform in Scotland. And while it has now been 5 years since Christie, it's still very much at the heart of the so-called Scottish model of public service reform. And the report painted quite a grim picture of the future of our services. So it said that due to the rise in demand for services while operating in an environment of constrained public spending, public services will have to achieve much more with less, which means that public services are in need of urgent and sustained reform. So Christie concluded in his report, unless Scotland embraces a radical, new and collaborative culture throughout our public services, both budgets and provision will buckle under the strain. So one of the key recommendations of the report was that public services providers need to become much better at working collaboratively across sector boundaries to improve outcomes. So the issues that Scotland is facing are complex and interrelated, which means that they can only be addressed by thinking and working beyond traditional organizational boundaries. So how do we operationalize this recommendation? How can we become more collaborative in public services? So I think anyone working in public services, be it in the public sector, in the third sector, or in the private sector, will appreciate that this is much easier said than done. So all too easily things get in the way, be it increasing workloads, the ongoing pressure of change, budget cuts, but most importantly I think our own organizational cultures often actively discourage us from working together with others outside of our silo. So this is where the Leadership Exchange program comes in as a cost-effective and time-effective way to share learning and knowledge and to make connections with colleagues in other sectors across Scotland. So first let's look at a definition of the program. Leadership Exchange is a cross-sector peer learning leadership development program. So that means cross-sector, you're going to be paired with someone in another sector. Peer learning is about being paired at a roughly similar level of experience and seniority to your own. And leadership development is really all about you to become an even better leader, be it as the chief executive of an organization or as a senior or middle manager. And our mission is to provide a framework for leaders to learn from each other across sectors with the aim to increase their understanding of another sector, to develop their leadership skills and to enhance their ability to work collaboratively. Leadership Exchange is an ACOSVO program. So ACOSVO is a membership organization for third sector leaders and senior staff in Scotland. And it's also a workstream of Workforce Scotland, which is a partnership initiative which aims to develop and support the workforce across public services in Scotland. And the program is open to leaders at middle, senior and executive levels. And it's open to all sectors in Scotland, so the public, private and the third sector. And we work together with 10 partner organizations which are part of a steering group. And they're from across public services, from health, Scottish Government, local authorities, third sector, and so forth. And they help us to promote the program in their respective organizations, but most importantly, they help us find matching partners for you in their organizations across Scotland. And last but not least, the program is free to access for you and your organization. To give you a bit of an impression in terms of numbers for Leadership Exchange, so we've paired more than 200 participants since the program's inception. To look at participation by sector, you will see the largest groups there are the third sector and Scottish Government, which has historic reasons because we started the program with a pilot between these two sectors. And it's then followed by health, local government, Police Scotland, and a range of other public service organizations. Maybe just to highlight that we opened the program just last year to the private sector, and we've had exchanges from Shell, Zurich, the RBS, and Standard Life. We offer the program across Scotland, and we hold information and taster events across the country. And to give you some impression of the feedback that we received through our evaluation, so on a scale from 1 to 5, 1 very negatively, 5 very positively, respondents have rated, how would you rate the exchange experience overall, with 4, and how would you rate the matching and administration process with 4.2. So what are the benefits for you if you participate? Through an exchange you will gain insights into another sector, so an opportunity to experience the different cultures, languages, environments and challenges that other leaders face. You will be able to build a productive relationship with a peer, which will function as a conduit into another sector for you and your organization. So and that often lasts beyond the official leadership exchange. And you will gain new perspectives on the challenges that you're facing. So we hear a lot that participants appreciate having a confidential sounding board where they can talk about their challenges and gain new perspectives. And you will also have the opportunity for peer support and good practice sharing. And there will be many other benefits involved depending on your exchange, since we're going to see that each exchange is quite unique. So what actually is a leadership exchange and what format does it take? A leadership exchange consists of a series of flexible meetings where partners work alongside each other in their organizations. So activities that you can undertake include shadowing your exchange partner, meeting your exchange partner's colleagues or frontline staff, having paired confidential conversations, and attending meetings or events. So these are just a couple of examples of what other participants have done in the past. And in terms of time commitment, we recommend that you hold approximately 3 to 6 meetings over the course of 6 to 12 months. And this can either be done in a block or spread over a longer period. And all the meetings and the entire exchange are coordinated by participants to suit their diary and their learning goals. There are 5 clear steps in the process. So step 1, you complete the application form on the ACOSVO website. We then enter you into the matching process, stage 2, and once we have found a suitable exchange partner together with you, we will send an introduction email, so stage 3 introduction, and then your exchange starts. So stage 4, once introduced, you can arrange a series of meetings and visits to each other organizations. And finally, stage 5, we will ask you to complete a short evaluation survey just to help us evaluate your exchange experience and also to improve the program going forward. So let's just look at some of these steps in more detail. So step 1, application. You can find the application form on the ACOSVO website through this link. It takes roughly 15 to 30 minutes to fill that in. And you'll be asked to give information about yourself, so about your role, your organization, what you can offer in terms of knowledge, skills, and experience. And you'll also be asked to give information about your exchange preferences. So are there specific topics you'd like to explore? Are there any specific sectors that you have in mind? Would you like to be paired with someone in health or with someone in the Scottish Government, etc.? And once we've received your application, we will create an anonymous public matching profile, which will be used in the matching process. So once we have received your application, we will enter you into our list of applicants. And you can see here on the screen an overview of the profiles available. So that's the overview, and this is how it looks in detail. So this is an anonymous matching profile for one of the participants. So initially we will aim to match you with someone on that list. So if you are interested in someone on this list, we will send them your anonymous profile summary, and if they are also interested, we will send an introduction email. and that way your leadership exchange begins. Should there be no one on the list, we will actively look for suitable exchange partners for you through our partners. So should you be interested in a specific area, specific topic, specific sector, we will work with our sector coordinators to find a suitable partner for you. And as I've said before, all of this is completely anonymous. So what happens once you have been matched? The first meeting can really be used as a so-called chemistry meeting. So the opportunity to have an open dialogue where you can discuss what you'd like to get out of the exchange, where you can discuss the time scale, the objectives, and the desired outcomes. And after that first meeting, we ask you to send some feedback to us, just to tell us if you'd like to go ahead, or should you not like to go ahead, since you feel there's not enough synergy, we will re-enter you in the matching process. So that's totally okay. And at a second meeting, you could sign a confidentiality agreement that we provide. Equally, you can bring in any requirements in terms of confidentiality that your own organization requires. And then you can look at your diary and schedule your exchange meetings. So you can see what meetings are coming up, what events are coming up that could be of interest, and you can schedule that in. And then the third to sixth meeting and beyond that, you can execute your exchange meetings as agreed. So this is really just for guideline. You can see it's a really quite flexible and light touch structure. And I'd encourage you to maybe look at our case studies. So I've inserted a few pictures of some leadership exchange participants here, which are available on the ACOSVO website and which will give you a good idea of what kind of things people have done during the exchange. So finally, let's look at how we support you during your exchange. So at the start, we introduce you to your exchange partner. After your first meeting, you send us feedback to let us know if you'd like to go ahead or if you'd like to be rematched. And then after 3 months and after 6 months, we send you a check-in email just to see where you are at with your exchange, how it's going, and if you need any support. And once your exchange is completed, you will be asked to take our survey. So that's usually 6 to 12 months after you have been matched. Can take longer, can take shorter. And when your exchange is over, your official exchange, you can absolutely continue your exchange on your own terms, and we find that quite a lot. So again, very light touch and flexible, really all designed to get so that you can get the most out of it for yourself and your organization. So the Leadership Exchange Program provides the framework and the matching service and also ongoing support during your exchange. But what you do during your exchange is really designed by yourself and your exchange partner. So that's really it from my side about the process. The next steps, if you'd like to start an exchange, is that you apply on the ACOSVO website, where you can also find more information, more videos, articles, and case studies about the program. And if you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to get in touch on office@acosvo.org.uk or give us a call. Yeah, thank you very much. So I'll now hand over to Kathleen so she can tell you a bit about her exchange. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Kathleen McLoughlin. I'm the Programme Manager here at the Improvement Service within Change and Improvement. I'm going to actually take you through a really open and honest reflection of my experience of the Leadership Exchange, which has been a really positive experience. And I'm that lovely picture that has probably just jumped up on your screen. I'm on the left-hand side of that picture. So I guess to begin with, it's probably worth sharing how I actually found out about the Leadership Exchange. The Improvement Service are one of the partner organisations in the programme, so I was aware of it from that point of view. But in terms of getting involved, it was through our own internal performance review and development structure. So having a conversation with my own line manager through that about possible leadership development opportunities for me, and one of the things that did come up was Leadership Exchange. So I thought, yeah, why not, let's give it a go and see how that goes. So a little bit about the application process that Emily alluded to. The application process is really straightforward. It does ask you about, the kinds of skills that you are offering in the exchange. So for me, that's around, my day job is around self-assessment and improvement planning, so I had given a bit of information about that. It also asks you the kind of skills that you are looking for, so what are you trying to get out of it. So for me at that time I was looking for some more skills, I guess, around people management, but for me I was really looking for someone to share those experiences in an informal way, not really a textbook approach. So I was really looking for someone who would be able to share with me how things worked for them in practice, why they tried it a certain way, what worked for them and what didn't. It also asks you about what your learning goals are, so I guess you have to give that some thought before you actually put your application in. I actually had a first match before I got in touch with Alison, who's also in the photograph with me. So that one didn't really get off the ground for a number of reasons, but mainly trying to sync diaries was the main issue there for us. But it didn't put me off, and speaking to ACOSVO after that, I was happy for my profile to still be part of the exchange because I was really keen to get something out of it. The second match, which is the one that has been a great success for me, was with Alison Turnbull from Museums Galleries Scotland. And I guess for me, you know, the improvement service, our sector is about local government, community planning partnerships and third sector to a certain extent, and other public sector organisations. Alison comes from the museum sector, which was brand new to me because I hadn't really done any work with them at all, so there was a huge learning opportunity there around that. In terms of the format of the exchange, it was really informal from the outset. We had an email introduction that Emily alluded to in the process, and then we kind of just arranged to meet up for coffee in the first instance, which we did, but we knew straight away just from talking about the kinds of things we both worked on and where we were in terms of our own personal development that the exchange was really going to be useful for both of us. So we did go into, we had a couple of, I think we had 3 meetings over coffee, but then we worked really closely together to design and deliver a staff development day for all of the museum's gallery staff, which I have to say was a real success. It's a success from our point of view, but even from the staff's point of view, we get really good feedback after that, and it was great having an opportunity to work with someone in a different sector to do something like that. In terms, the highlights for me was definitely meeting all the museums galleries staff and learning about the sector, because it's always refreshing, I guess, to hear that other people, no matter what sector that they are in, deal with similar challenges to yourself. So it's I suppose quite refreshing to know that maybe you're not the only person that is struggling with some of these things. Some of the topics that we covered throughout our meetings, catch-ups and whatever else we have, some of the things that we talked about was around self-assessment, continuous improvement, which are some of my key themes in terms of work. We then talked about peer review, and this is a piece of work that Alison has got coming up in the future, which I'll continue to, I guess, perform my role of a critical friend when we get to that point. We talked about very current things which are probably familiar to all of you in terms of restructures in organisations and just some of the challenges that we have around that. We then obviously talked about non-work related things. We talked about the kids, we talked about work-life balance, and you know, is there such a thing? And just I guess the match grew into something where it really is informal, and we were quite happy to continue to work together. We, you know, when the arrow there shows you the evaluation at the end of that process, we have done an evaluation, but both of us, Alison and myself, are quite adamant that the exchange for us isn't over. We've made a connection there which we'll continue to build on as we feel that we can bounce things off each other informally now, and keep that going over however long that takes. I don't really see an end in sight at the moment. I guess just a finishing point from me, if you do have the opportunity and it's something that you're interested in, I would definitely encourage you to have complete your application and have a look around and see what happens. For me, it didn't happen overnight, I have to say, so it's not something that you would put, well, maybe it does happen that way for others, but for me it didn't, so it may take a bit of time for that match to happen for you, and like me, it might not be your first match that is your biggest success, but you know, my profile or application is still in as part of the leadership exchange, because if there are other things that if I can be matched up with other people in a way that it's going to benefit me, or people can be matched up with me in a way that's going to benefit them, I'm quite happy to continue to be part of the exchange. I think I've pretty much covered. Yeah, David has uploaded a copy of our finalised case study for anyone that wants to have a look at that. And that's it from me. Thank you very much for inviting me to take part in the webinar.
All right, thanks so much, Kathleen. That's really helpful. So I think, David, now it's probably time to take some questions.
Sure. If anyone's got any questions, then can you please post them in, and I'll post them to Kathleen and Emily. Just a question from myself, Emily. With regards to the sort of matching process, is it typically a cross-sector? Would it typically be someone from perhaps a local authority that would go into the public sector, not go into the third sector, sorry, or would you do it from local authority to local authority ever, or is it entirely up to the person?
So it is always cross-sector, so we would usually not do local authority to local authority, but any other sector. So it can be another public sector organization, just not public local authorities.
Mm. Okay, thank you. Does anyone else have any questions? Just give a minute or two for some to come in.
Mm-hmm.
One point from me maybe while we're waiting on some questions, I think it's really refreshing to hear that we have some private sector organisations part of it now as well, because I think, you know, having the likes of Shell and RBS, it's good to widen the net in terms of how that exchange can go and what we can learn from each other. I think that's a really, really positive move.
Yeah, thank you. I think so as well. So we're quite pleased that we got these organizations on board, because there's quite a strong interest across public services to do exchanges with private sector exchange partners. So yeah, we're quite pleased about that as well. And maybe one thing I can also talk about while we're waiting is another development. We are now offering Leadership Exchange as a module as part of a degree at Queen Margaret University here in Edinburgh. So the degree is called MPA, so it's a Master of Public Administration, so it's a bit like an MBA but for public services. And Leadership Exchange is going to be a module, so the students who participate will go on an exchange as part of their studies. So I think that's also quite an exciting opportunity to basically bring Christie and its recommendations around collaborative learning already to students and others who are learning in public services.
Thank you.
There's still not any questions come in, so perhaps we'll just wrap up the session. I'll just say a quick few words in case any come in. This session was recorded, and we will be sending out the details of how to access the recording in the coming days. With that, we'll also share Kathleen's case study, and also contact details if you wish to follow up about anything about the Leadership Exchange. So we just got a question in from Chris Jolly from Aberdeenshire. Have employers been generally keen to ensure confidentiality papers are signed?
I'm not sure, because probably I haven't seen that side of the program. So we do provide the template for confidentiality, and Usually participants fill them in. I'm not entirely sure what the line managers or the organizations what they usually require. But equally, as I've said, if there are any stricter requirements, just bring in your own templates and fill them in. But let's maybe highlight that we've never encountered any problems with that either. So.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Emma. So just to round up, I've got a few useful links. I'll just switch over to my screen quickly that that could be handy for you. So these are just a couple of Knowledge Hub groups, as mentioned at the start. This is part of this webinars are a part of an ongoing series as part of the Change Managers Network. This is a network it was mainly for local authority staff, but it's now open to the wider public sector. If you wish to join, then please feel free to submit an application for membership. Also, another Knowledge Hub group is the new Women in Public Service Leadership Group, and that can also be joined through the Knowledge Hub. We've run about 10 of these webinars so far that have sort of had a range of topics all related to change so far, from community engagement right through to benefits management. So if you want to see previous webinars, then they are all recorded and shared on the Improvement Service website. Or indeed, if you have any inquiries about the webinar series or the Leadership Exchange, then myself and Emily's email address are both available there. So I hope you enjoyed the session. As mentioned before, there will be a quick follow-up survey. We're always looking for new speakers to recruit to the webinar series as well, so if you could recommend anybody, then that would be fantastic. Okay, thanks for your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.